topic of homework habits. I see there are a couple first graders here. I had the pleasure of being present in the first grade math class at the beginning of the year, the very first time they were assigned homework. To my surprise and great delight, the class broke out in spontaneous cheering and applause. This enthusiasm continued for weeks before the cheers gradually faded. Now, while our older students will probably never regain that level of delight in homework, I do hope that the next few minutes will be helpful in improving the homework situation in your household, whatever that may currently be. I have two goals. First, I want to cast a vision for the importance of homework. Secondly, I will share some tips for establishing good homework habits. So let's dive in with 3 reasons that homework is beneficial. First of all, practice is essential to mastery. I will quote our headmaster, as I recently overheard him saying as I was walking down the hall to the 5th and 6th grade math class. All skills are learned through practice. Whether it be learning a sports skill, learning to play an instrument, learning how to solve a math problem, spell a difficult word, write an essay, practice is essential to mastering the skill. Secondly, it shows student understanding to the teacher. While it is not the only indicator of student progress, it does reveal to the teacher what the student does and does not yet understand. The teacher can thus adapt his or her lesson plans to best accommodate the learning needs of the students. Number 3, good homework habits are applicable to other areas of life. As the first grade class has already learned, homework is not always fun and easy. It sometimes requires perseverance, it often requires self-discipline, and it always requires time. Time which one might rather be spending on some other pursuit. But no matter what your children end up doing in life, the character traits that are developed through good homework habits will serve them well. So, since homework is beneficial to students, how can parents help them establish good homework habits? I will offer 5 tips, and though they may seem to be common sense, I hope that each of us here will find at least one thing we can improve in our own homes. I know I did, even as I was preparing these thoughts. Number 1, plan ahead. Have a designated time for homework each afternoon or evening that works best with your family's schedule. This will look differently in each family, but I think that you'll find that homework is met with the least resistance when it occurs at an expected time. In our own family, even if my children say they have no homework, they are still expected to spend some time on something just to cultivate the habit. I have found that they can always find something productive to do, perhaps review Latin vocabulary or work ahead for an upcoming assignment. Number 2, meet physical needs. If your kids are anything like mine, they come home from school hungry. The sooner they are fed, the better. Or perhaps you have an active child who needs to get some physical activity before hitting the boats. Or maybe your child just needs some downtime to unwind. Be observant of the conditions that allow them to work best. I do want to add a caveat about using screen time to unwind before homework. Screen time is best saved until after homework is done, and even then, used judiciously. Number 3, consider the environment. Now, I completely understand it's not possible to get rid of all distractions, but as much as it depends on you, get rid of the ones over which you have control. Be aware of noise levels and visual distractions, and do what you can to alter the environment. Also, having a designated place to do homework may be helpful. The best location will vary by grade level and the amount of help a student may need. For an older student, a desk in their bedroom may be optimal, while for a younger child, the kitchen counter with mom or dad available to help may be best. Please keep in mind that for children in younger grades that they are working hard to master good handwriting, so make sure they have a flat surface to write on. We have definitely had days in our family where a certain amount of homework needed to be done in the car. But especially in the younger grades, it's difficult to be neat in such a setting, so try not to make this an everyday occurrence. Number 4, encourage excellence. An often quoted verse in our household is Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men. To promote excellence, encourage your children to do their best work. For children who tend to rush through their work, remind them to slow down and check it over to make sure it's neat and complete. It goes without saying that excellence begins with getting it done and turned in on time, so if it is not, students should take responsibility and confess that to their teacher. Number 5, model a good attitude about homework. I saved this for last for a reason. If you remember nothing else, remember this, because I can guarantee that at some point you will be tested, as I was this very afternoon. Make sure that you are setting a good example for your children in your own attitude toward homework. By doing this, you will be teaching your children to approach difficult tasks with a joyful spirit, a lesson applicable to many situations in life. I will conclude with a brief story from my own life. My oldest son, who is a senior in college and a math major, did not always love math as he does now. In fact, it was very difficult for him when he was young. At the height of his frustration with math, my husband started taking him out to Culver's after Bible study every week, where my son would work on math homework with my husband's undivided attention to answer questions. Now, was this an ideal homework time? No. It was past his normal bedtime, a distracting environment, and it involved way too much sugar. But yet, looking back, I believe it was due to the positive nature of this interaction that a love of math was cultivated in my son, along with a determination to tackle difficult tasks with a positive attitude. Whatever future God has in store for each of the children represented here, it is my hope and prayer that we all, as parents, will wisely arrange homework time to cultivate habits in our children and teach them to approach their work with joy. Thank you for